Can you hear me? Okay, well, if you can hear me, that's amazing. I'm Andrew Huberman, and I'm a professor of neurobiology and ophthalmology at Stanford School of Medicine. Today, we're going to talk all about hearing and balance, and how you can use your ability to hear specific things in order to learn anything faster. It's very easy to do. You can also improve the way you can hear, and we're going to talk about tools for all of that. Interact with all the other systems of the brain and body can allow you to learn information more quickly, remember that information longer, and the idea, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, well, if you can hear me, is that my voice is causing little tiny changes in the airwaves wherever you happen to be. Your ears and in your brain can take those sound waves and make sense of them. So the shape of these ears that we have is such that it amplifies high frequency sound. So what we call ears have a technical name. Often they're called pinna. Those come in through your ears, and you have what's called your eardrum. And on the inside of your eardrum, you got this hammer attached to it. And that hammer has three parts called malleus, incus, and stapes. Hammers on a little coiled piece of tissue that we call the cochlea into electrical signals that the brain can understand. We're separating sounds that are of low frequency and sounds that are of high frequency. That's because you have all these tiny little what are called hair cells. They're just shaped like hair, so we call them hair cells. Those hair cells, if they move, send signals into the brain that a particular sound is in our environment. And then your brain is making sense of what it means. Your cochlea essentially acts as a prism. It takes all the sound in your environment and it splits up those sounds into different frequencies. And then the brain takes that information and puts it back together and makes sense of it. More important than knowing what you're hearing, you need to know where it's coming from. Auditory and our visual system collaborate to help us find and locate the position of things in space, meaning you have neurons in your brain that calculate the difference in time of arrival for those sound waves in your right versus your left ear. Actually modifies the sound depending on whether or not it's coming straight at you, but now you know why, if people really want to hear something, they make a cup around their ear. They essentially this can actually help because you're capturing sound waves and funneling them better. So now I want to shift to talking about ways to leverage your hearing system. Binaural beats, as their name suggests, involve playing one frequency of sound to one ear and a different frequency of sound to the other ear. The brain will take those two frequencies of sound, that the brain will average that information, come up with a sort of intermediate frequency, place the brain into a state that is better for learning. You may have heard of these things as delta waves or theta waves or alpha waves or beta waves, etc. Tell us that delta waves like 1 to 4 hertz, so very low frequency sounds, can help in the transition to sleep, and you'll find evidence that alpha waves, 8 to 13 hertz, can increase alertness to a moderate level, and that beta waves, 15 to 20 hertz, are great for bringing the brain into focus states, and especially gamma waves, the highest frequency, the most frequent ripples of sound, 32 to 100 hertz for learning and problem solving. Many people like binaural beats and say that they benefit from them, especially while studying or learning. I think part of the reason for that relates to the ability to channel our focus when we have some background noise as well, so-called white noise, to really enhance brain states for learning in certain individuals. But white noise actually can have a detrimental effect on auditory learning and maybe even the development of the auditory system in very young children, in particular in infants. There are data indicate that white noise during development can be detrimental to the auditory system. Now, I don't want to frighten any parents. If you played white noise to your kids, this doesn't mean that their auditory system or their speech patterns are going to be disrupted forever. But there are data published in the journal Science some years ago showing that when they exposed very young animals to this white noise, it actually disrupted the maps of the auditory world within the brain. White noise should not be a problem at all. In fact, it shouldn't be a problem at all because you're also not attending to it. The idea is that it's playing at a low enough volume that you kind of forget it in the background, and that it's supporting learning by bringing your brain into a heightened state of alertness, and especially this heightened state of dopaminergic activation of the brain, which will make it easier to learn faster and easier to learn the information. So now I want to talk about auditory learning and actually how you can get better. So there's a phenomenon called the cocktail party effect. The cocktail party effect is where you are in an environment that's rich with sound. You and your brain are exquisitely good creating a cone of auditory attention, a narrow band of attention with which you can extract the information you care about and wipe away or erase all the rest. Using the attentional system, we can actually learn much faster, and we can actually activate neuroplasticity in the adult brain, something that's very challenging to do, and that the auditory system is one of the main ways in which we can access neuroplasticity more broadly. I'd like to now talk about balance and our sense of balance. Now, why is this system there? They deflect little hair cells that aren't like the hair cells that we use for measuring sound waves, but they're basically rolling past these little hair cells and causing them to deflect. And when they deflect downward, because hair cells are neurons, send information up to the brain. One of the more important things to know about the vestibular, the balance system, is that it works together with the visual system. So the vestibular system informs your vision and tells you where to move your eyes, and your eyes in their positioning tell your balance system, your vestibular system, how it should function. Most people who want to enhance their sense of balance for sport or dance or some other endeavor is to get into modes where we are accelerating forward. Now, this would be the carve on a skateboard. This would be the taking a corner on a bike. Lean into the turn so that your head is actually tilted, and positive effect on our sense of mood and well-being. So I encourage people to get into modes of acceleration while tilted every once in a while, provided you can do it safely. It's an immensely powerful way to build up your skills in the realm of balance. Now you know how you hear, how you make sense of the sounds in your environment to enhance your learning as well.